Some Texas Tech students took center stage along with the state official and the university's newest leader at a special event this week. Coming up, we'll have the details to let you know who made the stop here in the Hub City.
Homecoming is nearing an end this week after a busy schedule of events, but there's still more to come before this year's celebration ends. We'll have a look at the annual competition and info on some of the biggest events still to come this week.
The blame game continues as the U.S. government shutdown heads into another week of stalemate. Madeline Coyne has another look at talking points from both parties in today's edition of MCTV's Inside the Issues.
And the Texas Tech volleyball team was back in action last night with the hopes of getting back into the win column after an extended losing streak. And two other teams are gearing up for big matchups that could impact the national rankings. MCTV's Logan Lacy will be in with the latest details from Texas Tech athletics in sports.
This is the MCTV Weekday Update.
Welcome to the Thursday edition of the MCTV Weekday Update. I'm Aiden Lewis.
And I'm Reese Futch. Lubbock and Texas Tech made headlines around the state this week after a visit by two officials, and one of them will soon be a common face on the TTU system.
MCTV's Madeline Coyne has the first look at the event and details on who made the trip to the Hub City. Madeline?
Thanks, guys. Former Texas Senator Brandon Creighton made his first public appearance as Texas Tech Chancellor-elect here in Lubbock on Tuesday night. Creighton joined Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton for a Turning Point USA event at Cook's Garage. Creighton spoke about the impact of Charlie Kirk, and the Chancellor-elect is looking forward to working with Turning Point USA and other student organizations at Texas Tech.
And to be able to achieve that and to be able to share that with you and to be able to take these steps forward with this organization and so many others in this university and the system, it's just an incredible privilege and an honor and a blessing.
Later on in Inside the Issues, I will have a deeper look at Tuesday's event and details on the current state of the government shutdown. And back to y'all.
Thanks, Madeline. In the news here on campus, it's officially homecoming week. The celebration includes a variety of events, but there's also a way to get into spirit anytime all week long. The 2025 homecoming festivities kicked off on Monday with the annual Spirit Boards and Banners competition. Each year, student organizations put their creative skills to the test as they paint spirit boards and decorate banners to be displayed in various locations. The majority of the spirit boards can be found inside the Broadway entrance to campus as well as in front of residence halls, and the spirit banners are hung throughout the sub. All of the boards and banners are based on this year's homecoming theme, Tech Musical Movie Masterpieces. Many of the creations feature artistic renderings and familiar Texas Tech imagery, such as Raider Red and the Masked Rider, with a Broadway twist. Each of the spirit boards and banners are also in competition. The winners will be announced during the Friday night homecoming pep rally. This year's schedule of homecoming events is nearing an end, but the biggest events of the week are still to come. Tomorrow night, the Red Raider spirit will be on full display with the annual homecoming parade. Student organizations will showcase weeks' worth of work as they ride on floats, while Raider Red, the Masked Rider, and the Goin' Band from Raiderland lead the parade across campus. The parade starts at the Seal, continues down Broadway, and then turns down Akron Avenue past the sub. Once the parade wraps up, the celebration continues with this year's pep rally and bonfire in Urbanowski Park. Tech Spirit Squad will lead the crowd in cheers, and the Going Band will play their greatest hits while a fire burns in the bonfire pit on the southwest side of the park. And directly following the bonfire, Tech's newest homecoming tradition will bring the night to a close. The second annual homecoming concert will feature two country acts on the west side of Urbanowski Park. Randall King will start off the show, followed by headliner Flatland Cavalry. All of tomorrow's homecoming events are free and open to the public.
The fall is in full swing, and that means that many seasonal events and activities are also underway across the Lubbock area. And last week, one university group offered students an opportunity to get off campus and enjoy an evening of fall fun. Addledew Farms is the site of the one and only corn maze found in the South Plains area. Every fall, thousands of people stop by the local attraction, including many Texas Tech students. And last Thursday, the Student Activities Board and the Residence Halls Association gave Red Raiders a free opportunity to enjoy everything the farm has to offer. Students with a Tech ID could board a bus to get to the maze, and from there, they can enjoy lots of free fun, all courtesy of SAB and RHA.
So tonight we're doing the corn maze. We're giving out 1,000 wristbands to students, and we also are partnering with Addledew Farms. There's a lot of cool stuff over here. We got corn maze, we have s'mores, and we have a glitter tattoo over here. Just to come and hang out with some friends is really nice.
Along with getting lost in the corn maze, students could also enjoy a hay ride, check out the animals in the barnyard, take a walk through Pumpkin Hollow, or enjoy free s'mores at one of the several campfire sites. Thursday's event was one of the last activities before SAB's homecoming week schedule started on Monday. But following homecoming, SAB will continue to offer fun and free events through the remainder of the semester. To see what the group has planned for next week, check out sab.ttu.edu and click on the fall activity calendar link near the bottom of the page.
Speaking of the fall, the weather this week has felt a bit more seasonal with mostly cloudy skies and highs topping out in the 80s.
We're still a ways off from normal fall temperatures, but will that be changing anytime soon? Weather specialist Elisabeth Herring joins us now with a look at what to expect for homecoming weekend and beyond in today's MCTV forecast. Elizabeth?
Yeah, well, partly cloudy skies today here at Texas Tech, but a little bit more sun peeking through than what we saw the last couple days. On Tuesday and Wednesday, we stayed below 80 degrees. We also saw some rain those couple days along with those cooler temperatures. We saw about a 1/10 of an inch of rain, a little bit over, and that makes up about half of our rain for this month. And as we head into the rest of the weekend, looking like it's going to remain clear for Saturday, Sunday, which is great for all those homecoming activities. However, we do have some rain moving in our area on Monday in the afternoon time. After lunchtime is when we would expect to see the most rain, but just keep update on your radar to see if you need to bring umbrella, rain jacket, anything like that with you to classes on Monday. Tonight, lows in the South Plains in the 50s and lower 60s across the area. Tomorrow, warming right back up into those mid to upper 80s, even 90s off the Cap Rock. So we're out of those 70-degree temperatures that we saw earlier this week. Tonight here locally in Lubbock, low of 61. Tomorrow, warming right back up into the upper 80s, 86 degrees. South-southeast winds at 9 miles per hour. Heading to this weekend, going to be a little bit warmer on Saturday, high of 87. So be sure to stay hydrated if you're headed out to tailgating or any homecoming activities. Sunday cooling off just slightly, 83 degrees. And back in the 70s for Monday with a high of 77. And once again, chances of showers on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, back in the 80s, lows next week in the lower 60s. Saturday is homecoming versus Kansas at 6:30 p.m. is kickoff, 83 degrees, halftime 76, and then in the lower 70s by the end of the game, so you might want to bring a light sweater or a jacket for the end of the game or if you're walking back to your car. I'm Elizabeth, and it's back to y'all.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Last Friday, KTXT-FM, Texas Tech's student radio station, participated in the annual World College Radio Day Marathon. For 24 hours, students took over the local airwaves, broadcasting nonstop live programming from 8 a.m. on Friday to 8 a.m. Saturday morning. On Friday afternoon, the station devoted 2 straight hours to live in-studio performances by local musicians. The lineup included 3 different musical acts, with the first one at 3 p.m., and then the remaining performers rotating into live production studio over the next hour and a half. KTXT staff assisted with the setup, getting microphones into place and testing levels, and then hosting the show. The live show extravaganza gave several musicians the chance to show off their skills and share their music with the broadcast audience. Austin White with KTXT says connections he and other staff members make in the community create opportunities like the performances on College Radio Day.
These are people who I go out to local venues almost every single week just because, you know, either I'll be playing a gig or I'll be looking for someone to come here and play. And so, you know, it's people from Blue Light, people from Two Docks, Cooks, Jake's Back Room, and, you know, it's just local musicians who are, you know, making music their life, essentially, yeah.
The live show extravaganza was just a small part of KTXT's College Radio Day Marathon. The remainder of the broadcast included volunteer DJ shifts, live shows, and live remote broadcasts from the Spins Vinyl Cafe and Ralph's Records. But even if you missed last week's marathon, you can tune in throughout the week to catch live shows on the Raider 88.1 FM. As we mentioned earlier, a big event at Cook's Garage brought in some big names to speak to Texas Tech students and members of the local community.
And the national headlines have been filled with back and forth by both political parties as the government shutdown continues. Madeline Coyne has more details on both stories on today's edition of MCTV's Inside the Issues. Madeline?
Thanks, guys. Welcome back to Inside the Issues. I'm Madeline Coyne. This week, we're taking a look at the voices shaping Texas, from Attorney General and U.S. Senate candidate Ken Paxton's visit to Texas Tech, to how the federal government shutdown is affecting our nation. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton spoke to a packed crowd this past Tuesday at Cook's Garage during a Turning Point USA event hosted by Texas Tech's chapter. The night's lineup also featured former Texas Senator and Texas Tech Chancellor-elect Brandon Creighton and political podcast host Sarah Gonzalez, along with several other student speakers. Around 250 students and community members from all over the Lubbock area were in attendance. Paxton started his remarks by thanking students for what he called their dedication to growing the movement and making their voices heard. He told the crowd it shouldn't have been him speaking that night, but should have been Charlie Kirk, the late founder of Turning Point USA. He reflected on how some of the most influential people in history live short lives.
The most impactful people in the history of the world lived about the same number of years. Matter of fact, Jesus Christ, 33 years.
Paxton also shared how his own challenges have shaped his faith and public services, saying his experience have put him in a position to do good. Alongside Paxton, Sarah Gonzalez told students she has changed her message for public events since September 10th, the day Charlie Kirk was assassinated, calling it a very clarifying moment. Gonzalez also highlighted how inspiring it is to see young Americans speaking up to create change.
So inspiring to hear all of these speeches tonight and to see how dialed in you guys are to changing the country to reflect, go back to our founding principles and what our founding fathers intended, and not be afraid to say we are a Christian nation. We were built as a Christian nation. That should not be controversial.
Texas Tech Chancellor-elect and former Texas Senator Brandon Creighton highlighted the young audience in front of him, saying the room was filled with the future generation of our nation.
The reason why we have so much confidence when there is darkness and there is evil is our faith, of course. And being here tonight with the speakers that have spoken before me and will speak after me.
Creighton said it is nice seeing the West Texas and Red Raider community speaking out for what Turning Point and other organizations stand for. Paxton also spoke about his longtime friendship with Brandon Creighton, saying he's known him since their days serving together in the Texas House. He called Creighton a great leader and a close friend.
You guys are really fortunate. He will be a great chancellor, and he will be a great chancellor not just for the donors, not just for the people who have graduated. He will be a great donor for a great chancellor for the students. So Brandon, congratulations. You're going to do a great job.
Student guest speakers shared on how they plan to keep their voices heard and encourage others as well to continue the movement Charlie Kirk started. I met with Texas Tech Turning Point President Preston Parsons to ask why he decided to hold this event.
I never actually intended on hosting tonight's event until about a week and a half ago. I was called by my Turning Point USA regional managers, and I said, "Can you host Ken Paxton on this day at this time?" And I said, "We're going to make it happen. I'll do anything I can." So, on top of that, it's so important to continue on Charlie's mission of getting our politicians, getting our elected officials out in front of us students, out in front of the public, so they can talk about what they're actually doing and show us that they're not sitting in an office in Austin or DC, just doing nothing. They've got to come out and prove to us that, hey, why did we elect you? So that's why it's important.
Other organizations like Texas College Republicans were also in attendance to help promote their cause and come together for the event. The federal government shutdown began on October 1st after Congress failed to pass funding legislation. Now entering its second week, the standoff in Washington is testing leadership across both parties and leaving federal employees and families across the country uncertain about what's next. President Donald Trump has said the shutdown will continue until Congress delivers what he calls a responsible funding plan. In a recent statement, he argued that Democrats are playing politics with people's paychecks and adding that Republicans are united on keeping spending cuts in place while protecting border and defense priorities. House Speaker Mike Johnson echoed that message, calling the shutdown a necessary stand for fiscal sanity.
This is necessary because the Democrats have a full-out assault to spin the facts and try to pretend as though they are not what they actually are.
Meanwhile, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer placed blame on Republicans, saying they've created what he calls a crisis of their own making. Schumer said the American people are paying the price for political games that could have been avoided if the House acted responsibly. The House Appropriations Committee's Republican majority also accused Democrats of forcing what they termed the Democrats' shutdown, saying Americans are paying the price for unnecessary political gridlock. In response, Senator Patty Murray, chair of the Senate Appropriations Committee, said the blame lies with House Republicans, calling the situation chaos manufactured by political extremists who would rather shut down the government than govern responsibly. The White House has launched a government shutdown clock alongside an interactive map showing how the shutdown is affecting each state. It highlights which programs have paused and how federal workers are being impacted. The administration's latest economic analysis estimates Texas alone could lose $1.4 billion in economic output per week, or roughly $6.3 billion per month, if the shutdown continues. It also warns that programs like SNAP, WIC, and Small Business Administration loans could all face significant disruptions across the state. As both parties hold firm to their positions, the shutdown's economic and political fallout is deepening, and millions of Americans are waiting to see just how long this shutdown will last. From the ongoing government standoff in Washington to Attorney General Ken Paxton and Chancellor-elect Brandon Creighton's visit here in Lubbock, we'll continue tracking how these stories shape our state and our nation in the weeks ahead here on Inside the Issues. I'm Madeline Coyne. And back to y'all.
Thanks, Madeline. There have been plenty of headlines coming from Texas Tech athletics this week, especially for a couple of teams who've had a successful weekend against Big 12 opponents.
But in less than 24 hours, the action starts back up yet again with another busy weekend schedule of matchups both here at home and on the road. MCTV's Logan Lacy has the details on all those games and what you need to know to cheer on the Red Raiders in sports. Logan.
Thank you, Reese and Aiden. Texas Tech Athletics has some massive matchups this weekend for homecoming, with soccer playing at home, an away volleyball game, and football's first home game in about a month. We'll start with Tech Soccer. Number 11 ranked Texas Tech Soccer will be hosting number 17 TCU this weekend. In the Red Raiders' last match, they defeated Kansas 2-0, with Taylor Drzeski scoring both goals and goalkeeper Faith Nguyen with 5 saves to improve Tech to 10-1-1 overall and a conference record of 4-0-1. The Red Raiders will look to stay the sole leaders of first in the Big 12 with a win over a tough TCU team who is currently 10-2 overall and 4-1 in the Big 12. Texas Tech will host TCU tomorrow night at 7 p.m. at the John Walker Soccer Complex, and if you can't make it to the game, it will be streamed on ESPN+. Texas Tech Volleyball will be in action on the road this weekend against the Kansas State Wildcats. The Red Raiders are coming off a 5-game losing streak, hoping to find their first conference win against a Kansas State team who has won 2 of their last 3 matches and has a 9-4 overall record. Texas Tech has yet to force a game to a 5th set in conference play, but are looking to turn things around as they near the halfway point of their season. Texas Tech record heading into Manhattan, Kansas is 8-9 overall and 0-5 in the Big 12. They'll play tomorrow night at 6:30 p.m. at the Morgan Family Arena, but you can also watch the game on ESPN+. Red Raider football will be back at the Jones this Saturday for the first time since September as they host the visiting Kansas Jayhawks in Big 12 play. Texas Tech football is coming off of a major win against a Houston team that was undefeated before Tech walked into TD-ECU Stadium and beat the Cougars 35-11. Texas Tech will play an interesting Kansas team who currently has a 4-2 overall record and a 2-1 conference record. The Red Raiders will be looking to keep up their streak of winning every game by 3+ possessions and a 200+ yardage advantage. The matchup this weekend will be a blackout game as Tech shows off some special 100th anniversary uniforms and celebrates the homecoming weekend. Texas Tech currently sits at 5-0 overall and 2-0 in Big 12 play with a number 9 ranking in the AP poll. The game will kick off at 6:30 p.m. on Saturday at Jones AT&T Stadium here in Lubbock, and if you're going to the game, make sure to wear black. That's all for Texas Tech Sports. Now back to Reese and Aiden.
Thanks, Logan. Midterm exams and projects are underway for many students across campus. Even though that's enough to keep most Red Raiders busy, there are also lots of events happening this week.
And for students at one college, there was one event that was worth taking time from their busy schedules, giving them a chance to focus on their future and beyond coursework. Yesterday, the Davis College of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources held their annual career fair in the Sub Ballroom. Students started arriving at 10 a.m. to meet with representatives from dozens of companies with fields varying from dairy to beef production to agri-sciences and to pharmaceuticals. The fair was not only a good option for students who will be graduating in December heading into the working world, but it's also a chance for students who will not be walking the stage this year to gather information and hone their communication skills.
Really just gain that experience practicing talking to employers if they're in undergrad and they're still looking for a job or an internship, either it's part-time or full-time, and just really trying to help them transition from an academic setting to a career setting.
Yesterday's event was organized by the University Career Center and wrapped up about 2 p.m. But if you didn't make it to the career fair or you're not a student in the Davis College, the University Career Center's resources are available throughout the year to all students. For more information about the UCC or to schedule an appointment with a career counselor, visit thecareercenter.ttu.edu.
So, Aiden, have you attended any of the Career Center's events held this fall?
I haven't personally, but I think I'm going to give it a try because I've heard really good things about them.
Yeah, personally, I haven't had a lot of time too, as well. But I might just stop by, see the feature of my major, stuff like that, It seems really useful.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's all for today's edition of the MCTV Weekday Update.
Thanks so much for joining us, and be sure to check out the ttuhub.net every day for more news. We'll see you next week.